Everyone thinks sell at TOP sure huat, but my client sold at TOP profits
only $50,000.
Sometimes really bo pian, you need to sell. At that time, he wasn't thinking about upside anymore. He wasn't asking, how much can I make? Instead, he was asking, can I even move on with my life? And this is the expensive lesson that no one talks about. Entry price doesn't decide how much you earn. It decides whether you can exit with certainty when life happens. Change is the only constant. I've seen this too many times. People buy when everyone is rushing in without realizing entry prices are already high. My strategy has always been simple. Buy safe, buy with certainty. If you missed my previous video on master plan, hit the link in the description. This is not a timing the market story. It's a story about what happens when you enter at the wrong price, even when everything looks safe. Let me share a real case with you. Why it looks safe to buy in the first place, what price he entered at, and why exiting later became difficult. My client was a bachelor, a referral case. He had been renting a one-bedroom at Amber Road for years. He thought that instead of paying monthly rental to a landlord, how about using the money to pay for own property? He did his IPA, aka indicative bank loan, calculated his cash and CPF. Affordability really wasn't an issue. It feels like 只要有钱，什么都可以买。This is a common mindset for first-timer private property buyers. This is where most of you guys can relate to. You've been renting for years and have been wanting to have your own place. Monthly installment lower than rent. New condo, finally you can host your friends at home. This is where most buyers get caught. Just because it's easy doesn't mean it's the right fit. There's no one size fits all when it comes to pricing. Because he was renting, progressive payment made the new launch feel very affordable. The development was Santorini, 597 units. It comes with an enclosed kitchen, layout he liked. Inside really feels like staying in Santorini lor. Lifestyle boxes all tick, but ticking boxes doesn't mean the price makes sense. When people overpay, it usually not because they are reckless. It often starts with fear. Fear of renting forever, fear of missing the boats, fear of pricing gets higher and higher. Then another belief quietly comes in. New launch, very safe.
Haha!
This is fear wearing a very convincing disguise. Won't lose money one lah. First owner leh.
Most buyers don't think they are greedy.
They just don't want to be the one who make the wrong decision. And once we start thinking like that, entry price is usually the first thing we stop questioning. That belief feels very comforting, but comfort is not the same as certainty. And this is the line I hear all the time. I won't sell one lah. Single, stable job, own stay. Sounds very familiar, right? But sometimes life doesn't always ask for permission lor.
I'm okay. I'm fine. Quinchana, ding, 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 ding.
How this happens? When you walk into a showflat, emotion kicks in. You often end up paying more than what you budget. Today, many launches headline a very low starting from pricing, and that unit is gone within minutes. What happens next? Buyers start scratching quietly, step by step, until they end up paying more than what they planned for. Even that cheapest price tag, which is usually not ideal, gets snapped up very fast. In our MEAT framework, entry price is there for one reason: exit with certainty. We usually prefer bigger developments because more transactions help to support prices. But in this case, it doesn't work out the same way. Why? Let me show you how entry price affects exit certainty in this case. If you like real stories like this, remember to hit the subscribe button. I will share how these decisions actually play out. This case shows three things very clearly: what's buyer fear, what they assume is safe, and what actually determines whether you can exit. When Santorini launched in March 2014, the average per square foot was above $1,100. I was in the VVIP queue with my client for unique selection. You know lah, showflat, very nice. Agents, rara, selling you the dream home asking for check. Outside weather, so hot and humid. Step into showflat, suddenly feel so shook. Everyone around you looks so excited, and prices were only reviewed at the VVIP preview. That's when reality property hits. The day,
I saw so many buyers walk away shaking their heads.
They ask you how you are, and you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
let me show you why buyers had choices back then. Amenities like coffee shops, supermarket was so limited despite there were BTOs nearby. Showflat agent even shared about the Tampines West MRT station in the master plan. It was at least 20 minutes walk away lor. At that point of time, there were several new launches competing for the same pool of buyers. QB Residences and the Alps Residences. Prices were around $1,000 to $1,050 per square foot. Buyers have options. 2 months later, in May 2014, Coco Palms was launched. Wow! Almost $100 per square foot lower leh. Closer to amenities and MRT. Even though Coco Palms land lease started earlier compared to Santorini, pricing was still more attractive and the buyers were more receptive. The average profit for one bedder upon TOP about $100,000. This is the core lesson, so we make it unmistakable. Same period, same region, different entry price. And that difference decides who exits with options and who doesn't. How does developer work?
Developers don't anyhow suka-suka set the prices.
They study nearby launches, the buyer sentiment, and what the market can accept. So developers price matter.
Nice.
Like Coco Palms and the more recently Zion Grand. By the way, developers usually need to sell at least 30% of the units of launch to secure bank financing. That can also explain why prices sometimes get adjusted later. Coming back to Santorini, from 2014 to 2018 is average new price drop. If you bought for investment back then,
confirm feeling very sian.
What the fuck?
luckily my buyer bought for own stay. It doesn't bother him at that point. This is why entry price sits in MEAT framework. You need to look at master plan, entry price, amenities, and transactions to make it safe. It's about exit certainty. It's not about how pretty the showflat is or how it feels like Santorini. Understanding land sales and land bids help us to estimate what prices are realistic. Sometimes life moves faster than your property, and this is where real life steps in. Marriage, kids, job change, or if your holding power is not strong enough. Exit timing is not always their choice. In this case, my buyer got married and need a bigger place. Fewer inquiries, no offers. End up selling only $50,000 profit. Not because no holding power, but because the entry price
Was already high.
Earlier, I said change is the only constant. This is exactly what I mean.
Because the entry price was already high, this is an exit risk.
Sometimes it's not that you bought the wrong property. It's just that you didn't know what you didn't know at the point of entry. That's why I prioritize entry price over hype. If you're planning to buy but feeling confused, that's actually a good sign. That's where I step in, not just to sell you a property, but to help you make a decision with certainty 5 to 10 years down the road. Here's my number. I will also be covering holding power and how to cushion your property purchase in my next video. Subscribe and turn on the bell button. See you. Bye.